Nothing in this podcast is intended as investment advice, and the people in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy any investment based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Hello and welcome to the Midweek Takeaway. Today we're joined by Shaun, CEO of Greatland Gold. Welcome back, Shaun. How's life treating you?
Yeah, really well, Phil. Thanks for having me on, and Kevin. It's been a busy lead up to the chat, but thanks for having the time to speak today.
Obviously, today we saw the news of transformational appointments to the board of directors, which looks like there have been some quality hires there, but also the funding secured for development of Havieron, which is an absolute game changer as far as I'm concerned, and probably many shareholders for the company. So firstly, congratulations on securing this. That's a hell of a task completed.
It is. There's a bit to unpack today in the announcements, but look, I think collectively they are transformational across board, debt capital, equity, strategic shareholder, being fully funded. I've talked about kind of getting through the transition issues and switching from defense to offense. I think this is that transition moment.
I mean, looking at the investor, is it the billionaire Andrew Forrest who's positioned himself in there, and he's presumably is he the owner of Wyloo Metals? Do you want to give us a bit of background on some of the funders?
Let's start with the equity, which is Wyloo. Our relationship is directly with the Wyloo team, who have been great to deal with, as you rightly state there. Andrew Forrest, who was really the founder of Fortescue, Australia's kind of $50 billion iron ore force, that's his kind of vehicle. But look, I don't know the mind of Andrew Forrest, but certainly the Wyloo team coming to support us is tremendous. I can't think of a better strategic shareholder to have. We've really enjoyed working with that team, and to bring them in is a great credit to Greatland and a great credit to the quality of the Havieron asset. I think switching gears, we've also brought in capital with the debt banks, Main Street, tier one banks, HSBC, ANZ, ING, three big names in resource funding, 7-year debt facility, great terms, 3.5%, interest, that's really good. So that's the cornerstone for our funding. And again, being fully funded just means we have a pathway to take this all the way to free cash flow. And the magic of leverage, it's not being done all with leverage, with equity. There's a really meaningful amount of leverage in that portfolio. But with the cash coming in, I think the debt to equity gearing ratio is balanced. It's a beautiful combination of funding announcements.
Yeah, I think you knocked it out the park, Shaun.
Yeah, look, thanks, Kevin.
As they say in America, you knocked it out the park. What do they say? I mean, yeah, you just hit a six basically over mid-wicket.
Yeah.
So the scenario is, and what's really getting into my head is, what were Newcrest playing at? Why didn't they take the 5%? It seems absolutely bizarre. And they're now in a situation now where you're 30% shareholder, and I'm sure that wasn't their plan.
Yeah, look, again, I don't know the mind of Newcrest, but certainly, it was a bit of a curveball when they didn't take that option. It was, from our perspective, the value there was evident. But for Greatland shareholders, this was the best possible outcome. To own 30% of our prize asset is perfect. Fundamental, our valuation, or my view on valuation went up 20% on fundamentals by moving back from 25% to 30% ownership. So a great result for us. And that success of holding on to more of Havieron, moved the market's view on fundamental value. That helped us raise equity. It helps us do transactions like today, where we bring in high quality talent, we bring in a strategic investor, we bring in bank debt. So, all the hard work, and remember it was started in December and finished in effectively August that the team did around that option process, I think has been a really worthwhile investment, and rapt to have been able to achieve that.
It's interesting, I think, to note that if you hadn't got, I mean, the markets are not exactly wonderful at the minute, as we know, and haven't been for 9 months maybe. So when basically Newcrest threw the challenge down and said you need to get the money, equity money in this situation for the first stage, that was a big issue for Greatland. Now, you'd obviously done some pre-planning for this, otherwise there's no way on earth it would have happened as quickly as it did. So talk us through this.
Yeah, look, hopefully shareholders have confidence that I tend to try to be prepared and plan ahead for these things. In all accounts, the day we got that PFS, we went onto a war footing in respect of the option. I've described before the series of independent experts we brought in to help us prepare for that thoroughly. Similarly, in the lead up to that outcome, I'd pre-baked a couple of funds headlined by Tribeca, who came in and cornerstoned the equity raise to invest in a company with equity. The curveball of Newcrest not exercising that option was a little bit too good to be true. I think everyone had models saying it was good buying at that price. So when they didn't exercise the option, there was some late nights, trying to keep that equity support there, which was obviously successful. And being pre-baked with that equity led to a successful equity raising in a difficult market, led to it being upsized twice from 20 to 30 to $35 million, and then still meaningfully oversubscribed, such that we were able to do a very healthy scale back. And then if we switch to today, look, we started these debt discussions in January 2021. So that's 9 months. I think I had my first conversation with Mark Barnabar, the incoming chair. Actually, I did check before this podcast on the 1st of September 2021. So it's taken more than 12 months. So all of this has been part of me trying to lay the foundations, and that was fundamentally built around understanding the value of Havieron and being able to protect that value through that arbitration process, and then being able to be fully funded, and then bringing in this board that really changes gear together with the strategic shareholder, which really gives us a platform for success. And I think the opportunities ahead of us now, not just to successfully develop Havieron and continue to unlock the exploration potential and option value on that in that exploration portfolio, but also to go ahead and look for inorganic opportunities is only enhanced. So it's a pretty exciting process.
Yeah, I can see now that the market hasn't quite got it yet. The valuation now, the fact that you've basically secured 30% of Havieron now for the indefinite future, if you like. How many million ounces are currently sort of JORC reported in Havieron?
So it's 5.5 million ounces today. And, I think Greatland came out with that announcement on the 3rd of March. Then you saw Newcrest come out with the same figure in August, which again, I was really proud of. Our resource estimates were within 1% of each other. Now, that is a testament to the quality of the team we built here, but you would expect them to be similar because, we're using the same drill data, the same methodology, and we should get very similar outputs. But we did that, I think, in a really timely manner. Our cutoff was December. The Newcrest cutoff was November. So they've probably actually brought in a few more ounces, which is great. But we think, but what I want to unpack in that is the cutoff for that was November. So there's already another 10 months of drill results. And if you have a look at the last 10 months of drill results, which we all know are spectacular. So you've got to feel really confident about the ongoing trajectory of that exploration, and particularly in that Eastern Brescia, the gap zone, but also the recent announcement where there's we've got intercept, another couple of 100 meters below the known the last previous intercept. We just keep getting data which tells us about the growth of this project. I feel really confident about the geology.
So I know you can't give me a figure, but what are we talking about? We're talking about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 million ounces within the next year or two. I mean, I know you can't answer it, but give me a chance.
Yeah, Kevin, I think you're dead right. I can't answer it, but it was a good effort by you. But look, I think what I like to talk about is, Telfer next door, 13 million ounces, probably a 20 million envelope, and it's taken them 35 years to mine about 13 million ounces there. I like to think there's a relatively, if you look at the volumetric survey of Havieron, you can get on grade donations, you can get to around a 20 million ounce envelope. We're 45 kilometers apart. I'd love one day to see Havieron being a similar size to Telfer. You never mine those full 20 million ounces, but to have 5.5 million ounces already of high grade, and it's still in its growth trajectory. There is a pathway to be in that same ilk of Telfer, which has been a top 5 Australian gold mine for 30, 35 years.
Yeah, how many ounces at its peak did Telfer mine? What were they producing?
From memory, and you've got me off the cuff here, but about 700,000 ounces from memory from the open pit and underground combined. I remember 20 million tonne per annum processing capacity. In fact, I think it might even be a bit more in its early days, because the grades haven't been like that for a decade or more. But at its peak, it was it's a beast. It's a beautiful piece of infrastructure.
Okay, so if we I'll take my sunglasses off now, because as I introduced before, the superstar has arrived. Because I really think you've pulled an absolute blinder off here. But I'm quite sure that the strategic investor and even the equity people who have come in, and even the banks, are not just looking at Havieron, because I look at is it Scallywag and potentially anything else that you can invest in this jurisdiction, in this area. I mean, what do you think? What's going to happen now? Because you're going to obviously be full steam ahead with other stuff now as well.
Yeah, look, there was a lovely quote from Luca in Wailu, from Wailu, who heads Wailu, in our announcement, and it talked about the investing in Havieron, but also the exploration optionality in the portfolio. So I think you're absolutely right. I think Havieron underpins Greatland, but to have the ongoing opportunity to add to that is tremendous. And I'll take it back. I love to orientate people around our strategy, which is to deliver an expanded Havieron, to continue to invest in the drill bit, and 3, understand inorganic growth opportunities. And I think with this platform, with the funding, but with the team we've brought in, I think, and we need to talk about that team a little more, but I think it gives us a higher probability of being, extremely successful in that regard.
I think for now, we should bask in the glory of the RNSs today. And maybe the next time we can talk more in depth about all those other opportunities, because hopefully the market starts to realize what's actually happened, and the valuation on the basis that you're fully financed to mine probably one of the biggest gold mines in Australia in recent history has to now balance itself up.
Yeah. Look, I think in that regard, look, let's just kind of talk about the debt and then the new directors for a moment.
Yeah.
The debt with HSBC, ING, and ANZ is a tremendous quality product. as I described before, it leverages the returns for equity holders. And to have that in place at this point in time on the back of PFS before the feasibility study is complete gives us a lot of confidence about being fully funded for the full development of Havieron. We are fully funded now. I should say that Wailu funding is subject to shareholder approval. Yeah. So we will have a shareholder meeting, presumably early October, to put that to shareholders, and certainly that will be, has the full endorsement of the board. I think it's a fantastic outcome, and of course having the equity unlocks the access to the debt. And then if I can, I just, it's probably worth mentioning that board.
So you've got, is it Mark Bernard, Elizabeth Gaines, James Jimmy Wilson? Do you want to give us some background on these people and why you brought them in?
Yeah, this is, I think just as important as the funding. Well, I think each element of the announcement, brings something to the table, and similarly, each of these directors have an overlapping skill set, but bring something to the table. Jimmy Wilson, formerly head of iron ore at BHP, effectively, I understand, 2IC at BHP, the world's largest mining company. His operational pedigree, is stunning. So he's actually going to join in an executive role, not full time, but we're going to have him in the office. I think that's huge for the team here, and we've already had him in several times, and he's got to know the team and spend time with them. But as we do the feasibility study, having his insights on Havieron will be tremendous. But also more broadly, as we continue to develop the asset, as we continue to look at other opportunities, as we look at exploration opportunities within the portfolio, his expertise and experience at the table are tremendous, together with that the history he's had corporately at a BHP. Then joining us as deputy chair, so Jimmy started immediately today. Elizabeth has just finished up as managing director of Fortescue. She'll join as our deputy chair from the 1st of January or sooner, depending as she kind of extracts herself from those. But that is, I think it's a top 10 Australian company, Fortescue. She's done an amazing job there, has a huge reputation, a background in private equity as well, formerly the CFO of Fortescue before becoming its managing director. So this amazing funding and strategic background and management experience, which she brings to the board and to work with me, and what a great person to be working with. Her reputation is fantastic. So having her as part of the team is extraordinary. And then again, from 1st of January or perhaps sooner, Mark Barnabar. Mark is deputy chairman of Fortescue, again, this $50 billion, hugely successful organisation. He was formerly head of resources for Macquarie Bank globally. Presently sits on the Reserve Bank of Australia, which is our Bank of England. So just, these people are not just, significant in mining. They are significant in just corporate Australia, full stop. And Mark's background in terms of strategic thinking and around corporate strategy, which they all overlap in, of course, is unbelievable. So it is a formidable board. And fundamentally, my view has been, if we surround ourselves with A-grade talent, and each of them, are absolutely that, we increase the probability of being successful. And I think that's what we've achieved today. We have a group here of directors which is equal to any in the country, and that is an extraordinary outcome for Greatland. We combine that with a group of tier one banks and their support, and then I can't think of a better, strategic investor with Wailu. What a lineup we have. Yeah. And it's worth me mentioning, I first started talking to Mark Barnabar, in September 2021, so over a year ago, and he's helped. He's helped kind of bring in Jimmy and Elizabeth and help put all this together. So it is a stunning outcome which I haven't done alone. The team here has been a huge part of this, but also, the team of incoming directors have contributed to everything we announced today as well, together with the existing board. So team effort, and what a platform we now have.
Look forward to the $1 billion valuation being restored to Greatland. And I think with this team and the team that you've built, you could become a mini major in the future. I'm fairly sure of this. If all of these focuses are continued over the coming years, things are gonna look good for this company, I'm sure.
Look, to be open, I'm wrapped with what we've been able to achieve today. It's been a huge journey for me over the last 12 months to receive the pre-feasibility study, to then deal with that, the subsequent option pricing off the back of that PFS, the arbitration, the success of that, followed by the retaining the 30%, bringing in some cornerstone equity holders with the August raise, and we're really grateful to Tribeca who cornerstoned that, and then success breeds success. That then brought in the confidence to everyone to bring this team together. The banks wanting to see that equity component. Then we bring in Wailu to augment all of that. This is good, guys. In a difficult market, this is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, congratulations. Now, as we're on the midweek takeaway, and you've just had one of the best days of your, not life, but one of the best days of your career, what are you going to eat tonight? I mean, it's night in Australia, so what do you...
Guys, I've actually got I've got an LSE London webinar at 11 o'clock my time, so I'm trapped in the office.
Oh, you can't even have a beer as well, can you now? Between
this is the price I pay for being in Australia and London. It's good fun, but the price I pay is I work 2 jobs a day. I do my Aussie job, and then I switch into London mode. So I'm going to be. I might have to put a pitch in for one of the restaurants here in Subiaco where our office is. Maybe there might be a counter meal at the Subi Hotel or something between engagements. But it will be good. Might try to get a steak or something. I think
you deserve it.
Yeah,
a nice Wagyu.
Yeah, something like that. I'm happy in my work. It's nice to have a day like this where 3 streams that we've been running happen to kind of all converge into one announcement. Is good.
Again, congratulations, and we hope to speak to you soon.
I was just going to say thank you, Kevin and Phil. Thanks very much for your time. I appreciate it, and it was good discussion as always.
Shaun, it's a pleasure as always. Thanks very much for your time.
Okay, thanks now.
This podcast was brought to you by Roast PR Limited. If you would like to appear on a future episode of The Sunday Roast, please email admin@thesundayroast.net.